Real Country 1430 AM and 107.3 FM WRDN. Brian Winnekins from the NAFB convention in Kansas City. Thank you to our sponsors, including Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin, Amplify Health, the Mondovi Clinic, Wisconsin Soybean Association, and the Wisconsin Soybean Marketing Board, and the Wisconsin Corn Growers Association. And we're going to talk with a little bit about corn with Matt Frostic. He's first vice president of the National Corn Growers Association. He's a corn grower from Michigan, just next door to us. Well, at least state-wise, it'd be quite a while to get to Matt's farm from our area in western Wisconsin. But Matt, thanks for joining us. First, tell us about the farm.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. So I farm on the east side of Michigan, in what we call the thumb of Michigan, just north of Detroit, about an hour, give or take, about 7 miles off in Lake Huron. So we grow corn, soybeans, sugar beets, and we have some livestock operation too.
How was your corn crop this year?
So we had a really good crop. It struggled drying down, and there's still some crop out there yet. So we're kind of like an anomaly with the rest of the country. But yeah, I think in the next week it'll be pretty much taken care of. But a strong average crop, a little bit of disease pressure with tar spot late season that might have hurt our stock quality, but other than that, I don't think it really affected yield. I think growers did a really good job of managing those diseases, and it was good because the last 6 weeks, August, September, we were really dry. So the crop really just, took up whatever it could to make that yield, and it probably compromised that stock too, doing that.
Talking with Matt Frostic, first vice president of National Corn Growers Association from the NAFB convention. Well, let's talk a little bit about biofuels, something that is very near and dear to a lot of corn growers. I know driving down from Durand, at some locations I noticed with E15, a 15 cent a gallon difference. Other locations it was only 5 cents a gallon, which is that kind of a little bit frustrating from a corn grower standpoint of seeing these wider swings here? You'd like to see a little bit more stability.
Well, we need to get that E15 product across, the whole country. So we need to and have that the ability to sell that product year round. And we have that bill and ready to go through the House if we could find a pathway to make that happen. And I think you would see more competition with that product, and then better pricing too. We don't necessarily get into that marketing as much from that standpoint, but the we fight for that market access, and having that year round ability to sell that product is so important to our growers at this point, to bring a biofuel stand up, you know, to kind of level off and make that market stable, uh, and to develop a market for our corn growers is so important. We got a lot of trade deals going on. We had massive exports in corn, but it just proves that we need that domestic industry to thrive, so that our ag industry can thrive too. And it's a great consumer choice. I mean, it's whether it's 5 cents or 15 cents or even 30 cents, it's still cheaper to have that inclusion over just a standard product.
Talking with Matt Frostic, first vice president of National Corn Growers Association. You mentioned trade. There's been some pretty good corn exports already. We've also seen some what I like to call quote trade deals unquote, because they haven't been approved by Congress. Is that something that needs to be? We need to kind of remember that these deals haven't been approved yet.
Yeah, so we actually went through that with E15 last year at this time, where it was in the text and it was taken out. We're not, with trade deals, and even when we have trade deals that are set in place, in some ways they're still up for negotiation. So while we appreciate them and we need them, and it's very important that we have these deals set in place, there's still a factor that they may not always come to fruition based on whatever the market's doing, or quality issue or whatever that that country can put back at us. So again, it's about having a strong domestic market that we can grind corn in, and not that trade isn't any more important, but we need that stabilizing effect at the domestic use.
And with the deals, at least some of these that have been announced, since they haven't been really approved by Congress, is there a concern? And there's no trade promotion authority. So if one of these deals actually is going to go through Congress, isn't there a concern that, well, with no trade promotion authority, this is now subject to 535 possible amendments?
Yeah, and so that's another thing that these trade deals, they're they're not finalized until they're finalized, right? And so while we can appreciate the work that's been done, there's still a lot to go to make sure that they can be set in place. Yeah.
Talking with Matt Frostic, First Vice President of National Corn Growers Association. Meanwhile, with the recent MAHA, uh, they they came out with some new guidelines and some new things after the first round when they really didn't talk to agriculture too much. Were you pleased that they decided to come and say, okay, we better talk with some of the farm folks here about some of this stuff?
Yeah, so our membership has told us in the past we need to take risks and step out on some issues, and that's one of them we did last summer where we stepped out and took a stance on some of these things and stayed on the science side of these decision making processes, and I think we were heard loud and clear in that process moving forward. So a lot of that I think is can be political, and we're going to see more of it, coming forward. But I think as long as a grower, as an organization, when we stay on the science-based answers to these products, we're gonna win. We're gonna be on the right side of this.
What are you looking forward to for 2026 with National Corn Growers Association on topics you'll continue to work on?
Yeah, so if we can get E15 through the halls of Congress, yet this year, that'd be a huge win for us. But we're not stopping there. We continue to monitor trade situations and develop those, and also as E15 is, if we can get that year-round mandate, um, we've got to develop that market to facilitate those tools for so that the consumer can access that product. So there's lots of work to do there, and not only that, we're looking at there's can we go higher levels of octane? There's some engines on the shelf that the automotive industry has that are higher compression that can use higher levels of high octane levels of ethanol or higher inclusion rates of ethanol that raise octane levels that are very fuel efficient. So that's kind of the that future that we're looking at. SAF is another thing that we're looking at that it's not going to impact the market right away, but we have to be at the table making sure that the numbers work for our farmers. Making sure that those climate numbers are what we can work with and still produce that crop.
You mentioned the automobile engines, and that triggered another thought. We carry NASCAR throughout the year. So we carry all 62 races of NASCAR and Xfinity Series. How important has that been, that NASCAR, oh, geez, I'm not sure how many years ago, they went to an E15 in these high performance engines. How important was that, and how important is it to maybe be saying, hey guys, how about we try E30 or E40 or E100? Let's see what we can do with some of these high performance engines.
Yeah, and I think that's starting to happen with the racing industry. How high can we twitch those levels? NASCAR is that kind of that nuts and bolts of industry where you can test engines, you can test what the automotive industry uses that to test what they can do with engines in a sense in a high performance world. So yeah, it certainly makes sense to test fuels in the same way. And E15's been in that engine for several years now with great success. And it's almost like they lean into that product now more now than ever. So it's been a great success. We've had heavy sponsorship with them in the past with that, and we appreciate what they've done and kind of carve that path for that higher level E15 product.
And not only is it so that they can test it and try higher blends, but then their fans are getting exposed to this too, so that they're more comfortable when they're at the gas station.
Yeah, so you can't find a more loyal fan than a NASCAR fan. If you look throughout history, sponsorships and stuff like that, that NASCAR fan is the most loyal fan that's out there in any sport that's out there. So we appreciate that and we understand that, and obviously have been able to help in the past sponsor that product. So it's a great access point to test and then get that name recognition out there too.
That is Matt Frostic, First Vice President of the National Corn Growers Association from the NAFB Convention in Kansas City. I'm Brian Winnikins for WRDN.